no idol worshipers. And we definitely ain't going into the history of how some of them individuals was, that everybody is, you know, this, that, and the third about them. But if we won't go into the essence of it, some of them were just straight up dope fiends, and this, that, and the third. And just like I got my own things that I do. But guess what? My thing is, I make sure that whatever I do, if it ain't right for me, I'm damn sure I'm trying to teach it and bring it to nobody else for it not to be right for them. So you got to be held accountable for yourself. That go all the way from eating food, salt, or whatever. You know, and they tell you at the doctor you got high blood pressure, then you got to do the things to correct that. But I may not have high blood pressure or whatever. So we all got different things going on. That's why I say at the top of the lesson, Allah is the Lord of all the worlds. We ain't no religious individuals to be sitting around this, that, and the third, because ain't nobody holy. Holy means something that has not been mixed, diluted, or tampered with in any form. And there ain't nobody here that can say that they ain't been tampered with in any type of form, because we live in this society right here, and whether this 6,000 years is up, the extension, or whatever, the only way you're destroying him is that you got to first destroy him with inside of yourself. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I don't know, so that was the only reason I raised my hand, because I know it'd be a lot of that nonsense that be going on the internet. But me personally, I just don't have the time to even sit there and, like you said, you know, medicine field is a lot of young brothers and sisters, and they got good ideals about doing things, but sometimes they constantly, because like you said, I don't know when you say any of y'all want to volunteer to teach these individuals, I've been taught I'm held responsible for you. The following questions must be answered 100% before submitting to the student to say lesson number 1. We had to know 120 before I went out there and started teaching anybody else. You got to qualify, disqualify yourself. So at the end of the day, if I don't know who I'm teaching, then how can I just go and say, boom, we'll take it and keep it moving? I don't got no contact with you. I don't know whether you was a child molester, a rapist. I don't know who the hell you are. So when we getting into that phase of, like you said, utilizing the internet, the cyberspace, those are the things that we got to be aware of. And we got to be conscious of. Because everything, and justice to tell you today, and I'm going to stop this. I had my car parked on the block. The car is not in my name. The police called me, said my name, and told me I had the car blocking the person's driveway. Now, you know, I always feel I'm on the America's Most Wanted list, so if you sitting around thinking that they don't know what you're doing out here, then you a fool. Because if they could go in the cave and find Ben Laden and blow his brains out, you know, whether it's true or it's untrue, in Afghanistan, then they can find anything the so-called Negro is doing right here. Because most of the time, that's that Negro monkey shit that we do. That's other than ourselves, where you feel like you got to hide. I ain't hiding. And it's a penalty for that. Because you go out there just like Malcolm, like anybody else, they feel you open out the people, they can take your head. So like I say on my joint, I'm more afraid of telling y'all the truth than I am of selling 100 keys in the neighborhood. Because the devil, he wicked wrong. But if you telling the right thing back and you doing the right thing, then he ready to come, oh, this, yo, he bringing about a change. That's when you got to worry about that bullet going through your head and you don't know where it came from. Because they could do JFK or anybody like that. We simple when it comes to assassination. You know, so all I say is, man, I'm not going to hope and pray or none of that. All I'm going to say is that we're going to keep building and we're going to build to make sure that all these realities that we got going on, you know, brothers coming home, you know, being, of course, we all gonna go through it at first, because we got to get to know each other. You know, I might have known you for years, months, and days through the physical. We seeing each other, peace, God, but how many of us after that, we really get to know each other? You know? And then his brothers up in around, like I said, for years, once a day, but I didn't get to know them until I got to know them, or I was really in a social equality where I could say, I know that man. I could vouch for that man. There's brothers sitting around, and I could vouch for y'all. And I can say, yo, I know them brothers is A.I.Q. And you better know that. Because regardless of what any of them clowns tried to put out about what went on in Charlotte, once again, not capping myself, I put 60 G's into that for a school. For a school. And then as soon as nondescript have gangbanging niggas said whatever they said because of my past history, people use that. But when is my past history ever involved anything with the nation that I did that was wrong? And on top of that, I'm not an idiot. I had a college degree before I started going to prison. So therefore, I wouldn't invest $60,000 into us having a school and a business and then turn around and sell drugs out of it. Like, what sense would that make? And we had businesses prior to that. So what I'm saying is, when it all comes down, people judge and people take sides and people allow shit to go on according to that person or according to that group. Because you know certain individuals stand up and say shit and nobody won't say nothing, and then another person will come on and, oh God, give them a third degree. But the Lord ain't need that. He left us all to be able to stand on our own. Arm, leg, arm, head. I don't need nobody else to be my leading teaching guide to that fucking point. If I lead it now where equality knowledge there, you know what I'm saying? That I know about this go on out here, have dementia, you know, Parkinson, any of that shit where I can't think. So, you know, all I'm saying is, you know, let's just keep, you know, all the positive things that we got going, you know, whatever little air pockets that they in, and, you know, God the earth, let's build, man. Let's build.
God, I was listening to God. I was listening to God here. Add on to what the God was making warm about putting hands on the queen, putting hands on the earth. That's a no-no, God. I got 8 daughters. It's a no-no. It's a no-no. You get punished, God. There will be a severe punishment. See, make one ever make no mistake. This is what the God made it understood. Severe punishment. No matter who you are, God, you chose to beat on that woman and you chose to deal with your punishment. That's 1. 2. Number 2. God mentioned trust. See, our lessons teach us about what? Knowledge. Knowledge means to know. God, look, listen, observe. Your ways and actions, your acts and deeds will tell us, you know, who you are. This is what we're doing the knowledge to. Your ways, your actions, your deeds, shit you're doing for this nation, and what you ain't doing for this nation will make us understand who you are. That's from the what? From the knowledge. Knowledge means to know, dog. Trust ain't in our lessons. Truth, wisdom, cipher. That's that person. That's in our mathematics. That's in our alphabet. It don't say nothing about trust in 120. Nothing. Because that's face value. You trust. Who you trust? Who you trust? Y'all understand something. We don't deal with trust. We deal with truth. The power in our self. That shall improve our equality amongst each other. That's our equality. From the truth, the power. Ain't no trust. You trust me? You got to know me. I don't trust nobody. I teach my babies, man. What? Trust. You know him? You know her? What you know about her? You know? I don't teach, my babies don't teach. My children, God, and they children. And my children, see, one thing about teaching now is itself. My children won't hurt your children. My son is not going to hurt your son, Prince. Hello, Prince. My son is not going to hurt this God's children. That's how you teach, because this is, but that comes from teaching the knowledge of self. That don't come from teaching them how to trust people. We don't deal with trust. It ain't in our math. The truth is in mathematics, not trust. Because I listen, I do the knowledge, God, and your ways, your actions, your deeds going to tell us who you are. You said something about selling drugs and doing, yo, dog, if that's what you're doing. You sell dope. That's what you do. You know what I mean? What you want, that's what you do. You know, that's you.
You say you don't have a flag if you don't do shit.
No, I'm saying, no, look. There's a punishment for everything.
Exactly, and they gotta know that punishment. It's gonna be bigger if you wear the flag doing that shit.
I'm just talking about trust.
I understand. I'm agreeing with you, God. I'm just
but I'm saying there's a difference of when we build it. Sound travel, dog, 1,250 That's our what?
That's what I heard it.
That's our culture. It's our culture. I'm on culture, so what I'm saying, dog, our freedom is in this. Our freedom has everything to do with this, dog.
This is
you touch on the earth, you beat up on earth, you get jealous.
Well, we all in here.
And like I said, we don't deal with trust, we deal with truth. That's all.
I would like to speak. I have my hand raised before. But I would like Father Shawan to be up here when I do. Only because what I'm going to say, and this is reality, my name is Queen Khalifa. I got knowledge of self and garden quality. What he said is wonderful. It is very fair seeming. Who is going to enforce that? Because all of that's being put out there on the internet, trust and believe it's been happening. The internet is just bringing it to the forefront. The same thing with this whole Black Lives Matter, Me Too. It's bringing it to the public eye, but it's always happened behind closed doors. Father Shawan is here now. What he said about brothers putting their hands on sisters and brothers enforcing it, all well and good. When? Then what happened? The thought is wonderful, but this has been happening with brothers putting their hands on sisters, and the reality is, because they are gone, no one has stepped to them. And do you think that what they have done was unknown? It was not unknown. And trust and believe, I'm not bashing the God, because I bear witness that the black man is the greatest being walking on this planet. I love the black man. You understand? He is absolutely the supreme being. However, in the time that he was speaking of, you said you got knowledge of God born. There were sisters getting their asses whooped. And brothers knew. All of that is just, it's hitting the internet, and sisters are bringing it out. But this is something that has been happening in the time. And what is gone? Today I was thinking, because to me, when I see knowledge culture, I think what is the meaning of MGP and GCC? Because to me, those are the attributes of a good black woman in Islam. That's what separates a black woman in Islam from an 85%. Those skills that she has, those 7 units, MGP and GCC. Okay? Mother of civilization. Today is Mother's Day. Okay? Civilization. One having knowledge, wisdom, understanding, culture, and refinement, and is not a savage in the pursuit of happiness. Who is it that determines who is and isn't the true and living God when a brother puts his hands on a sister? Because I have known brothers, I've had a brother put his hands on me. The only man who has ever put their hands on me were God. 2 of them got these hands back. One of them because he was a killer, and I was alone with him. He was walking me home, no physical. I was young. I was maybe 20 years old, I believe. And the brother had an attraction. And I
say Gumar completely lost.
But that brother was eventually exiled for other situations. That brother showed up at a parliament, and the brothers greeted him like he was the prodigal son that came home. So that is beautiful what you are saying, Father Shawan. I firmly bear witness to that, because I am a staunch advocate advocate.
Can I say one thing?
I'm a staunch advocate in that the black man is the maintainer and protector of the black woman. But so many sisters have felt unprotected. We need more like-minded brothers like you who are going to enforce. And what we need is not to have any of this on the internet. What we need on the internet, I agree with you, we need to show to the outside world, we need to show a united front. But what we need is a sit down with the gods of earth, and we need to discuss the domestic affairs that's taking place in this nation. Because if you follow some of these brothers and sisters home, you would think, the brothers that you think, oh, that's a good brother, that's a good brother, follow his ass home and see how he's treating his women and his
Wait, let me
babies.
just bring one thing to your attention and to everybody else. Right, yeah, just one thing. All right. Now, my sister just finished saying that nothing don't happen and people don't do something. Well, let me tell you something. Peace be upon my big young little brother, C.I. All y'all remember, Kundalini was exiled. At the time, our supreme investigator was standing right outside and a bunch of other people and his peers. He was exiled and everybody was going, here go Kundalini, here go Kundalini. Me and C.I. Kill stood at the door and told him he couldn't come into Parliament. Yeah, we stood at the door. And peace be upon my big brother, Raleigh didn't speak to me after that because he was with him. He was like, come on, you gonna do it like that? He told me and C.I. Kill like that. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not gonna say, I'm saying this to let you know that me personally, I don't care if you walk with a line. You know what I'm saying? If you're not writing this act or you doing something in my presence, I'm saying if I'm there, I'm not gonna allow it.
And what we need is more like-minded brothers such as yourself. Because that's the only time that there's going to be what they call a paradigm shift. Because brothers have turned a blind eye because he's God. And because they may roll with him and he's a good brother. You don't know who's a good brother until you follow him home and see how he is in his domestic affairs. Some of them are filthy in all their affairs, but they will come, quote lessons, and they are intelligent, brilliant black men. But ask their women. That's what you
I love your piece. I gotta leave.
hold their black women, and you will know.
Shabu.
You will definitely know. We need brothers to police other brothers, for lack of a better word. We need our black men to be our protectors. A queen will recognize a king. We need enforcers. And then the sisters will feel safe and they would not have a problem with getting knowledge of self. It's a sad situation with the black man who is the true and living God by nature, because not all of them, like the brother said, will live that out. However, you come into this culture, when you learn who you are, this culture teaches you the knowledge of God, the knowledge of devil, the knowledge of self. You understand? Good, bad, and indifferent. But the reality is, I know I had expectations that when I got knowledge of self, I felt exalted because I know who I am, and I'm going to strive to carry myself to live that out. And I had very high expectations of the black man. And when you go through certain situations with a black man, that can scar a sister emotionally. And we had some beautiful sisters that in the 80s there was a mass exodus. Beautiful sisters though. Beautiful sisters, a mass exodus that if you go up to them now, my BFF went up to a sister and when she asked the sister about the garden, she was like, I don't even want to talk about it. Don't mention his name. Another sister that I know got on the train and ran into a sister who was actually educated by my son's father. She said peace to him. The sister cussed her out just for saying peace. I said, wait, You just said peace. This is how scarred sisters are from having gone through things. Now I do bear witness that a sister should not put her hand on a brother, okay? Because if the brother hits you back, I mean, I am one who has thrown these hands, and I was lucky enough to not be with men that were women beaters, that were abusers.
Still a difference.
You understand?
It's still a difference.
But, you know, I realized that violence begets violence, and if I don't want to catch somebody else's hands, I need to keep mine to myself. However, if you put your hands on me, I'm going to cut you too thin to fry, because them days are over. But we need brothers. What he said is so important, but we need to have a forum, not where the public is involved, not on Zoom where it can go on the internet, because once it's on the World Wide Web, it's out there for anybody that can hack in. But we need to have a forum where we are discussing male-female relationship as it relates to the nation of the gods and the earth. Because there definitely needs to be a paradigm shift. There needs to be more morals, like he said, morals. Morals to me means right and exact, righteous. Not holy, wholesome. Wholeness, something that is going to be healthy, that's going, you are with a person and you have a healthy relationship, not toxicity. Because you say the babies are the greatest, and your babies are around that, and children are learning what they live, what are they picking up? Your home should be your paradise. If you have knowledge of self, your black man, when he comes home, that's his paradise. The black woman is his heaven. That's how I see it. And that's how I strove to be. But, I had my little expectations crushed to the earth. You understand? But still I rose because I have knowledge of self. Whether I have a black man, whether I step foot in a mosque, a parliament, I am going to have knowledge of myself. Because when I got it from me. But we need the sisters to be able to feel protected. We need the sisters here. There's no babies because there's no earths. In the 70s, there was a sea of black women. You couldn't go to a parliament and didn't see a sea of 3/4 on their way to Harriet Tubman in the 70s. When you got on that A or D train, you may not have known anyone before you got on there, but you are going to run into people that you will know when you got on. And there was love. We had love for each other. We considered each other family. We considered each other family. And that's what needs to be returned. And we need black men to enforce it, because all that about is going out of someone else. And you all are the foundation, and you all can make it happen, because the power lies within you. The power lies within you, but it needs to happen. What he said is so on point. On point. It needs to happen. But it doesn't need to be just something spoken at a parliament. How they say grown folks talk? It needs to be where it is. And rather than do Zoom, I don't know, if it could be like a conference call where it's just telephone, but it's not through the internet or whatever, or in each different region. But it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed.
Bring that to a law school and get addressed.
It needs to be addressed. What
We
he
can
said
beat up.
is very important.
Get
And it's been going on. It's not the internet that now, because of the internet, this is coming out. This has been going on. I have known sisters that have gotten their asses whooped.
Bring that to
You
a law
understand?
school.
When we have nation business, that is a problem.
And God have known. God have known. And didn't come to that
They will get
sister's
justice.
aid.
But if they don't speak
Didn't
up,
come to
nobody
that
gonna know.
sister's aid. I was fortunate that I was in Linden Plaza. And the righteous community, the 5% community in Linden Plaza was a very close-knit community. You couldn't come up on Linden Plaza, not that anybody ever did it, but you couldn't come up on Linden Plaza and touch Queen Taniqua and leave Linden Plaza. Trust and believe. You were not getting out of, you were not getting out of Linden Plaza.
Got cycles over here.
You touched this
She got cycles
sister, you
over
were
here.
not getting
You
out
got all
of
the
Linden
pig houses
Plaza.
over
My
there.
brothers were
You
gonna
ain't
handle
going
you.
nowhere with that.
It changed. But like I said, even nowadays, those brothers are not there. But trust and believe, there's still enough brothers that if I say, when Tamika says, Allahu Akbar, they're going to be there. They're going to be there. That's all I got to do, and they're going to lock it low. You understand?
Bring it to a law school.
They're going to lock it low. But there are sisters that did that too, and it didn't happen. It's all fair seeming. It sounds good. Then what happened?
Quick,
Yes.
I'm getting on there. So, peace everybody. All things said, the relevant Jermaine.